So we are now live on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So shout out to everyone. Hope you all are having an amazing day. It's the first Sunday of the new year of 2024. So we are like 1 week in. We have 51 more weeks to go. So you'll see me going live. I'm also live on Instagram right now too. So you'll if you see me look this way, I gotta get some shout out to my IG family too. All right, so I'm not going to be before you long. I'm actually just going to go through and do just these 5 steps to reclaiming hope. This is part two to the live that I did the other day about dealing with disappointment. So feel free to say hello. Tell me where you're, checking in from. As y'all can see, I'm like extra casual because I'm like chilling at home. So, but the information does not change just because I'm chillaxing right now, right? All right. So, talked about just the other day about dealing with disappointment, and I really felt this just in my spirit. Just God put this on my heart to talk about this. I'll be transparent and tell you that I was a little hesitant. Like God, everybody is talking about being excited about the new year, new opportunities, and giving instructions for how to be prepared for this year. And so I didn't hear anyone talking about disappointment. Right? That's not to say that no one in the world is, but I would just say just on my own social media feeds is that I just wasn't seeing that come across, but I did feel that in my spirit. Is that I needed to talk about this and to reach out to individuals who are dealing with residual disappointment, right, from 2023. Is that while some of us, ended 2023 feeling great and amazing and accomplished, there are some of us who did not feel that, who was disappointed and who may have been overwhelmed or frustrated or just felt like just things weren't working out. And so wanted to first talk about how to deal with disappointment, but not to just leave it there, right? Because even though disappointment is real and you want to be honest about your emotions and what you're feeling, I did talk about that in my live, so you can go check that out. And I'll make sure to put that in the comments too. On Instagram, I'm not sure how I don't think I can. Yeah, you can't put links on Instagram. So I'll figure out some type of way to keep you on the loop. But for Facebook and YouTube, I can just drop the links right there for you to easily find and replay. So I will do that for Facebook and YouTube. But you want to be honest about where you are. However, you don't want to fall into despair. So I won't do the full recap of what I was talking about with dealing with disappointment. But the main point that I do want to draw out from that video is that it's different to grieve than it is to fall into despair, right? So you want to make sure you give yourself the time to grieve and be honest about the loss or whatever that you are experiencing, but you don't want to fall into despair. And so falling into despair means that you lose all hope, right? That you feel like your disappointment, rejection, delay, betrayal is your absolute end and that there's nothing else that can happen. And so that is not the end. And so while you most certainly need to grieve, you do not want to fall into despair. But even if you have fallen into despair, again, that's not your permanent circumstance. You can come out. And so we're going to talk about this just for a few minutes. We're talking about how to reclaim hope. So the first step to reclaiming hope is to, one, get to know God for who he is and not who your situation has told you that he is. First and foremost is to get to know God for who he is, not for who your situation is telling you that God is. Is that when you get to know God for who he is, that means that you allow his word, you allow his characteristics, you allow his being, his spirit to get to reveal to you who he is, not your problems, not your situations, because your problems will allow you to not be able to see God for all of who he is, right? Because if you're focused on your problems and you're seeing God through your problems, that means that you have a very limited and you have a distorted view of who God is. And so in order to reclaim your hope, you do have to first start off with getting to know who God is. And so when it comes to even taking the steps of getting to know who God is, this means one, pulling out the Bible. And let me tell you, you don't have to have the King James Version, right? Because let's be honest, the King James Version has the these and the thous and the doeth and thou shalt not. And it can get a little confusing, right? So, you want to get a version of the Bible that is easy for you to understand. So that can be the NIV, the New King James Version. It could be the Message, who gets real real plain in the language. You can use just the amplified version. You can use Life Application. I mean, there's multiple versions out there outside of the King James. So get to know God is who he is for who he is by one, reading his word, two, by just praying to God. And here's the thing with praying with God, it really is about communicating with God, right? And so when you communicate with someone, that means that one, you're talking, but you're also taking time to listen as well. And so in your communicating with God, this is where, again, you're going to be honest about what you feel. And you don't need to hold nothing back, because here's the thing, God knows all anyway. He already knows what you're feeling. He already knows what you're going through. So it's no need for you to try to put on airs, right? You don't even come and try to need to sound like the pastor and be like, oh, gracious, mighty, amazing, magnificent, omniscient God. You know, you don't need to do all that. You can just say, hey, dear God, this is what I'm feeling, right? You can talk to him just like I'm talking with you. You can talk with God as well. God is so multifaceted. God is not limited by just one way of understanding, right? And so with him being the God of the universe, that means that he's not stuck within a box to only understand just one way of communicating. And so communicate the way that he created you, the way that you are, right? Because he understands you, he knows you, he loves you. And so then with you pouring out your heart about all that you feel, all that you desire, then it's taking the time to pause and to listen and to get the response and to hear what God's response is to your prayers, to your petitions that you have put out, right? And then it's also just fellowshipping with God. Fellowshipping with God just means that you're just spending time with him, right? You're just cognizant of his presence. The Bible tells us that he's omnipresent, that he's always everywhere at all times, right? But that doesn't mean that we're always aware. And so with fellowshipping with God, this means having an awareness then of his presence. And so when you have an awareness of just someone being in the room, you move a little different, right? Depending on who it is, right? Like whether it's a loved one, whether it's a significant other, whether it's a child, whether it's your coworker or your boss or, you know, your partner, if you're the owner of the business, it's going to determine how you move, right? And so with fellowshipping with God, it allows you to be able to move in a way where you're aware of the fact that he is involved in every situation and aspect of your life. He cares about it. He loves you for that, right? So then that moves us into step number 2. Step number 2 then is trusting God, making the decision to trust that. Now, instead, you've taken step number 1 to get to know God for who he is, not for what your problem is saying that he is, right? And so then you decide to trust him. And so with trusting him, this means that you really believe that he is Abba Father. The Bible tells us that, right? And so with believing that he's Abba Father, that means that you believe that truly Romans 8:28, all things are working together for your good as you love God and answer the call to purpose, right? And so you're trusting that his way, his perfect will for your life, even if it is unfavorable in your hindsight, in your understanding, in your logic, you still trust that he does all things well, right? You know, living a life that is dedicated to God and that is fully submitted to God, it doesn't mean that you're going to have a problem-free life, but it does mean that you have a purpose full life, right? A life full of purpose. So that means every step that you go through, all things work together for your good. That means that there is nothing that you experience that is outside the confines of God's understanding and his ability to be able to care for you in your life, right? And so even when we talk about even having faith, because part of having trust in God is having faith in God. And so the Bible tells us that we walk by faith and not by sight. And so there are some aspects of your faith journey where you will have clarity. There are some aspects of your faith journey where you won't have that clarity. But despite whatever you fall on that spectrum of clarity, when you trust God, you know that God is all and you won't have anything to be concerned about because he got you, right? All right. So first step is you got to get to know God for who he is, not for who your problem is saying that he is. Second step is that you take the time to get to trust God. The third step then that you take in getting to this process of reclaiming your hope is that you got to have gratitude. You take a place of gratitude. The Bible tells us that whatever things are lovely and good and of good report and pure and true, is that these are the things that we are to think of, right? And so you want to make sure that you are taking the time to have the space of gratitude. And so with having this position and this mindset of being grateful, that means that you are looking at your life to see that things are well, because everything ain't bad, right? Even if you are in the most dire circumstances, at the bare minimum, if you have their dire circumstances, you will still have life. right? And I understand that there are some people who are in situations that are just completely unmanageable, right? And so it's not that I'm trying to invalidate any of that. I'm just trying to say that, sis, bro, wherever you are, it ain't the end, right? And so there's something to be grateful for. And so even when you are making a choice to deliberately have gratitude, right, and show thankfulness for where you are, is that you are then taking time to be honest about the totality of your experience. And it's also a mind shift, right? Is that if you think that everything is bad and everything is going wrong, then you're going to only see all the things that are going wrong. But when you make a point to be intentional about also seeing what is right, what is good, what do you have what do you have to be thankful for, it then reframes your mind to be able to shift and see things differently. And when you see things differently, that means you have the capacity to be able to think differently and create different plans. And when you have different plans that seem more attainable and not as cumbersome, that means that you can take the appropriate action then to create those plans and make them transform into your reality. So you want to take the time to be intentional about being grateful. The next thing that you are doing to then be able to reclaim hope is that you're going to create a plan, right? And so you're going to take the time to look at where you are, what's going on, what steps do you need to get to the place that you need to be, figure out who it is that you need to talk to, connect with, put a time frame in place, allow opportunity for flexibility as well. And so you're going to have this plan and you're going to notate it so that you can refer back to this plan when it is needed. And then the last step, you probably already guessed it, it's execute, y'all. It's execute the plan so that you can move from hope to then into manifestation of what God has already promised and spoken over your life. So that is the 5 steps for tonight of how you can reclaim hope. This is part 2 of the session or the live that I did the other day about dealing with disappointment. Do have an additional resource. So one, if you found these lives to be helpful, do encourage you to save them so that you can refer back to them. Also encourage you to share this with someone else, right? So you can tag people in the comments or you can DM it to them so that they can go ahead and watch this as well. The other thing is that I want to provide you with a resource that I have, which is a course. So I do have some online courses available. I'm in the process of having some new things come out in the couple of months. But one thing that I have available for you now that can assist you with continuing this journey of dealing with disappointment and reclaiming hope is a course called Walking Through the Pain, Practical Steps to Emotional Wellness. And so in this course, it gives you 21 steps of how you can overcome things that you have experienced in your life that is preventing you from having hope. And so it gives you, again, practical steps that you can implement to help you to be able to navigate those things, right? And so to overcome the pain, rejection, and things that are troubling to you in your life. This course, let me give a disclaimer, it is not meant to be a replacement for any clinical interventions that you may have or that you may have received. And so this is a great resource to partner with that. And so you partner it with other interventions that you are doing it along with prayer and also just your relationship with building with God, right? So you have multiple prongs to this approach to support you in being able to be efficient, effective, and successful in meeting your goals. Today through Friday, so that will be Friday, January 13, 2024. There is a coupon code that is available. So I will drop that in the chat. First, let me put the link to the course here. Y'all going to hear me typing like Kermit the Frog with the meme on Facebook and YouTube. Y'all probably heard that on Instagram too. Instagram, you're going to click the link in my bio to be able to get the information there. For those of you all who are, you guys are watching me on Facebook and YouTube, you can just click the link. So you want to click that link, and then the code for $52 off is actually HOPE24. So that is all lowercase HOPE and then 24. So you can use that for now through January 13th for $52 off. of the normal price for that course. So that's a really good deal. So definitely want to make sure that you take advantage of that. You can always find out, other resources and other things that are going on with me by checking out my website, which is sherrywary.com. You're more than welcome to sign up for my newsletter. Again, I have some things that will be coming up in the next few months. So you can just take a look out for that. And if you're on my mailing list, then that means that you will be the first one to be able to find out. So it was great chatting with you all. Thank you so much just for joining. If you are just joining now, you can go back. I will be posting this on my Facebook, YouTube, and on my Instagram pages, so you can go ahead and catch the replay. If you have any questions, you're also welcome to email me, which is sherry@sherrywary.com, or you can even DM me on my social media pages as well, and then we can go from there. So take care. Remember that no matter where you are, it is not the end. You are greater than a source of your pain. You are greater than a source of your disappointment, and that hope is always available to you. So do not give up. I'll do a quick, because I see a couple of people just joined on. So let me do a quick recap of just the 5 steps so that you all can then know what to expect when you watch the replay. Is that 1, you want to get to know God for who he is, not who your problem is saying that he is. 2, you want to take the time to get to then trust God and step out of faith. 3, you want to be intentional about having gratitude and being thankful. No matter how bad your situation is, the one thing we can always be grateful for is that, hey, you are still alive. Number 4, you want to create a plan, a strategy to be able to move out of your disappointment into what you desire to actually live. And then the final step is execute and go ahead and do it. So that is all I have for you all tonight. Take care. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing evening whenever you are watching this. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Bye.